Sound on? All right, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
All right, good deal. So last week, hope everybody got the message last week. Sorry about that. Last week I should have been more organized and shouldn't have been such a surprise. Thank you for your patience, your goodness, truth and beauty, all that good stuff. So guys, any questions for me? We have with us Melinda and Steve. So they're in the audience here. They're our studio audience. Any questions? Okay, any idea why we do this Christmas thing on December 25th? Any ideas? Well, they picked it for the birth of the Lord, but do you know why they do it then?
I can't remember.
Probably because just after the 21st or second, we get light.
Right.
The longest day of the year, that's what it is.
It's near the day. The Romans would celebrate this big pagan feast. And the Christians, after it became part of the empire, they said, you know, it really would be a good idea to celebrate this to counteract and bring people away from the pagan celebrations to the Christian celebration. And what the pagans did is they had this big party because the darkness was the longest, so they could figure out they could do more evil in the darkness. And so that's why the party could last a lot longer because there was a lot more darkness. And so the idea that Christians is it's so appropriate that Christ enters the world and that the light begins to conquer the darkness. So after December 1st, the days start to get longer, or December 21st or so. Hard to believe, really, isn't it? I mean, we're almost there. We're almost there where the day starts to get longer. Man, that's good news. That is good news. And thank God we haven't gotten much snow. Okay. Now, there is one record. Sylvester the Pope at the time of Constantine, he actually petitioned, I read an article that he petitioned for the census records in Bethlehem. And some people do believe that Jesus really was born on December 25th. But the reality is, whether he was born on December 25th or not, doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's the actual date, but it's just kind of a neat thing. So there's a great article. It's a complex question, but the source from Online Catholic Encyclopedia gives us a thorough analysis. So I like this website. It's basically the old Catholic encyclopedia from like the 1890s. Now, that's the funny thing about these old Catholic encyclopedias. All the data, since it doesn't change, is still good data. So it's really, they're great sources, and it has some really good analysis. Okay, so it was between 337 AD and 352 where Pope Julius set the celebration of Christmas on December 25th. In the East, they celebrate Christmas on the 6th of January. We call that the Epiphany. So we hear those 12 days of Christmas. And so it's in the Eastern Church, they celebrate Christmas on the 6th of January, and they associate that with the coming of the kings. And then they also, in the West, we celebrate it on the 25th. Now, this is just an aside, okay? And you probably know that I am somewhat a student of the political happenings in our world. But do you know what day the Russians quit being the CCP, the Soviet Republic, CRC or whatever that was? The day that they quit being the Socialist Republic and went back to Russia, do you know what day that was? It was on December 25th, like 1991 or 92. So they actually did that, and they became the Christian nation again, in theory, on the Feast of Christmas. Now, they celebrate the Christmas on January 6th. So in their religion, the 25th doesn't have any kind of real significance, but it does in the West. So it's just kind of interesting little historical side note. That's from the book, The Pope and the President by Paul Kengor. It's a great, great book if you want to get a sense of how John Paul II and Ronald Reagan worked together to kind of help bring down the communists in the Soviet Republic. But this, I think, let me see, I think it'll let me go here. Let me see if I think if I left click there. Maybe not. Okay. There it goes. You guys still see this, right? You see this website pop up for you guys? When I'm, no, am I sharing my screen? You don't see it, do you? Okay. Well, let me share this screen and show you what it looks like. So I clicked on that link. So if you're on the computer and you go to that website and you're sharing that link, it'll take you to this website. Okay. So it just is an excellent, it's a long article, but it's really detailed. And this article does a good thing. So you can see it's not super long. It's probably maybe 7 or 8 pages. It's not very big, but it goes through some really wonderful things. So it really is a great resource. Okay. All right.
Isn't Jesus wasn't circumcised like the eight days later after he was born?
Yes, he was circumcised on the 8th day. Now,
So would that make difference something with the 6th of January?
that'd be the circumcision. So 25th, that'd be what? 25th would be 8 days later would be 6. It'd be like the 2nd, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It'd be the 2nd or 3rd. So, okay. So here's the counterclaims. All right. So if you'll read pagan sites, they'll claim that Christmas was chosen because it was a pagan holiday. I mean, if you go to the Protestants and Seventh-day Adventists, I think the Jehovah's Witnesses, I don't think they celebrate Christmas. I think they argue that it's like a pagan festival. And so they'll say that it was a Mithraism, and Sol Invictus, the incomparable sun, really took about 100 years. But the thing is that this really took off about 100 years after the death of Jesus. It seems that the pagan elites may have even used this myth to counter the growing influence of Christianity. So actually, they might have created this to counter Christianity instead of vice versa. And then the winter solstice. Clearly, this is when the night is the longest and the day starts to make gains over the night. The symbolism of Jesus, the sun, conquering the darkness is clearly evident, but it is not impossible to determine if it was the predominant, but it's impossible to determine if this was the predominant factor of why they chose this day. Saturnalia was also a pagan festival that was celebrated in early December to the 23rd. Most scholars seem to dismiss any serious connection between Saturnalia, which was this big pagan Roman festival. Okay, but the winter solstice was this longest night of the year. And Saturnalia was obviously celebrated during the longest night of the year, so they could do the most evil. That was kind of their thinking. So claims from the census record. No records currently are known, but several of the church fathers made mention of them. Their claims seem to be plausible in light of the organization of the Roman Empire. So Justin Martyr, he was one of the early fathers of the church. He wrote a great apology. He gives a great early description of the Mass, and it just describes the Mass really beautifully. He was martyred by Marcus Aurelius, I believe, in 192, something like that. Well, he must have been earlier than, maybe Marcus Aurelius was earlier than 192. I thought it was Marcus Aurelius. Anyway, so Tertullian, he was another guy. He lived from 150 to 240. He mentions the census records in Rome, along with St. John Chrysostom in 349 and 407. So these fathers of the church actually make mention that they actually indeed did have the census records of Jesus. Great, guys. Great to have you back. Good deal, guys. Yes, I'm just talking about December 25th and why we celebrate it on the 25th, kind of going through that. And you guys can go back to the website and watch this because these are recorded. So you can catch up what you missed if you want.
They've had some trouble. Yeah, because we were going to do Zoom tonight, but when I typed in the code to get into the Zoom, it asked for a passcode.
If you click on the link, it should just work. Did you guys need a passcode or anything when you do the Zoom thing? If
Well,
you-
there's a link in it.
Yeah,
on the website, I think, if you go to the website,
Which website? 'Cause I've been to the,
we went to the Holy
I
Family.
went to the Holy Family one and it didn't.
Yeah, if you go to the parish app.
My Parish app,
My parish
No.
app.
is it on there?
You
Yeah,
said website, not app.
that's
Oh,
right.
it's probably my parish.com.
No,
Do you guys-
app would be like at the Play Store.
Yeah, did you guys download like My Parish app for Holy Family?
No, I thought you said website.
Well, I think it's on both places. Let me double check here. Let's see here.
We definitely couldn't find it on the website. We found out,
This is a joyous time to remember God's greatest gift to the world.
Sorry.
More than 2,000 years ago, the angel.
That was a great, I don't know if you heard Trump's greeting, Christmas greeting. It was like, the media won't report it, but it's just talking about Jesus, the incarnation. It was amazing.
so which app is it if we do, is it My Parish Catholic Life or?
My Parish app. It's My Parish app.
That's what I got, my parish.
And then you have to find Holy Family on that.
That's My Parish Catholic Life, that's what I was asking.
No, it's just my parish app, period. And go to that, and then you'll look for Holy Family.
So if you go to the website and say RCIA resource sources, it takes you to my website.
Then on the website,
So
I
you,
think we found that, and
Okay.
then the website, we couldn't get.
all right, so I think what happens in the messages, I sent out a message a while back ago with the Zoom link. Okay, so let's see here. There's what the app looks like.
Oh, that's what I got.
My Parish, okay, so it's,
So
My Parish Catholic Life thing.
Probably. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
So then, once you come up to the app and hit messages, scroll through these messages, and right there is the Advent. That's the morning of recollection.
You wanna call Sean, have them do it?
They usually, when you're in, they gotta be like, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a message that says RCIA.
Okay.
It's down quite a ways.
So can you tell me the date for that?
It's October 19th.
I'll send on this for no problem.
Okay, so she can.
Yeah.
We're gonna have the whole family watching, even though a lot of them are Catholics, so we.
That's
we
great.
can refresh her.
See, so here, I clicked on that link, and that's me in the phone. So I'm gonna leave the meeting, but that's me. So that the link does work. Okay, great. So, but there's these fathers of the church. We have Justin Martyr, we have St. Cyril and Tertullian make note of the census records of the birth of Jesus. And so that's, I think, where the December 25th, because they record him in Bethlehem when Mary and Joseph were in there and the census that was being taken. That he was in Bethlehem December 25th in that area. So, but it also coincides with, but you know, the modern scholars, they want to say, you know, it's complicated, and I know I don't need to get too technical on this stuff, but we do know roughly that John the Baptist was likely conceived at a certain time. Because Zechariah in the Bible was of the tribe of Abijah. And we know that tribe had temple service at a certain time. And this one guy claims, assumingly, you know, he was struck dumb, he couldn't speak. So you would assume that after he was struck dumb, he's saying you're gonna have a son, he goes home, he has relations with his wife, and so he conceived sometimes very soon after that. Well, and then, you know, Mary was conceived, but Elizabeth was 6 months along. So that dates when Mary got conceived. And 9 months after that, from the conception of Mary is between September and January. If you do the math and back it all up.
So, John the Baptist's feast day is June 24th.
Right.
So 6 months afterwards would put you at December 24th.
Yeah, but is that the birth of John the Baptist?
That was my understanding. So it'd give you an idea
Yeah.
right there that you're pretty close.
Right. Right, so she was in her 6 months, so June, July, August, so that would place them, if it was 3 months after that.
Well,
Wait, so
no, because Mary was 6
Yeah,
months
right.
along, or
Mary
she
was,
Mary
Mary would be 9 months
Elizabeth was
later.
6 months along when Jesus was conceived.
Right,
So Jesus should
Yeah,
have been
six,
born
right,
6
6 months
months
later, right.
after,
December 25th, right?
at roughly
Right,
6
that's
months
right,
after John
that's
the
right.
Baptist, which is June
It's a
25th.
good math problem. It's a good math problem. Okay, so now looking at the biblical clues. Okay, and I think I said this. So from the Bible, we know that Zechariah was from the temple priests for the clan of Eviha, and some claim to make the reckoning of that date by the time of his temple service. Elizabeth is assumed to have conceived some short time after the temple service, and we know Mary conceived 6 months after Elizabeth's conception, which by some reckoning places Jesus' birth near December. Had it right in the presentation.
Yep.
Now, this thing, guys, this is a great website, and I don't think I'm allowed to stream something like all through this because of copyright and everything else. But if you get a chance, go to this website. Do you guys see the little red dot on there? Probably not. Okay. The BethlehemStar.net, that website, or BethlehemStar.com. It is a great website. It goes through all these conjunctions, and you can see the picture there. And there's a triple conjunction. There's a star of Regulus, which is the regal star. It means king. And then you had the planet Venus and Jupiter, and they all come very, very close together, which in the sky, it would have been incredibly bright. So there was this conjunction of the planets Jupiter, Venus, and the star of Regulus, December 25th, 2 BC. So it's really neat.
You gotta hit admit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Alright.
There we go.
Do they have video playing the other way, or?
I think it's
Well,
I'm trying to make it work, it's making me download.
oh, there we go. There we go. I want to get rid of this. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
They were there, right?
They were.
What happened? Oh, you know what I did? I think I hid non-video participants. Okay. Yeah, we don't want to hide that. Okay, how can I unhide a non-video persistence?
Well, if they're hidden, can they still view it?
Oh yeah, they still hear me, I think. They're still hearing me. I just don't see them. Right?
He's confirming it.
They can still hear me, right?
I'm calling right now.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Oh, they got it. Okay, so we're good. Okay.
What, they sent a message, they could hear it?
They talked back.
No, that was Josh.
Yeah, that was one of the people on there.
Oh, I thought somebody
Hey,
else.
can you guys still hear us? Okay, you can hear us and see us. Alright.
So,
See how the participants on the right of the line?
Yeah.
Cameras.
And they can hear us and see us right now.
They said they could hear and see right now.
They can see too?
okay. Yeah, they just don't have their camera on, so we don't see them. Okay, so this is just looking at those dates, and this astronomical data is really, really incredible. Okay, so the real point, with our current records, there's no way to be certain regarding the date of the birth of Jesus, but it's important to note that what truly matters is that Jesus was born and the Word became flesh. He really came into the world. It's that simple. God loved us so much that he came down from heaven to be one of us, to show us how we can be like God. It's really, really cool. So unlike Mithras or the myths of various pagan traditions, Jesus is not a myth. He is, okay? One of my favorite little things. Anybody watch Star Wars? Okay, did you see the later ones?
Yeah.
Okay, like when Rey comes up and she's meeting Han Solo,
Yeah.
and he's saying Han Solo and Luke Skywalker, and she's saying, "Oh, come on, I thought that was a myth."
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And he said, "It's not a myth, it's true, all of it." But see, Star Wars is a myth. Okay, it's not a true story, but this is a true story. Jesus emptied himself and loves us so much that he became one of us. And he came into the world to be vulnerable. Okay? So I don't have many. That was just a few slides that we had. So let's stop the sharing. So guys, any questions about all that's going on in our world? Anything about anything, really? There's that good article you can kind of take a look at. One of the things I would encourage you guys to do, have you guys been reading like the Gospels? I would try and make it a point to read the Gospels of Matthew and Luke before Christmas. Start with Luke, because those are the infancy narratives. Okay, so if you read, and it's not very many pages. Let's see, how many pages were it? So Matthew, wow, it's more than I thought. So Matthew would be like 51 pages, 50, I guess that's more than I thought. I think, is Luke shorter here? Well, just stick to the infancy narratives at least, if that's too much. The point is, I want you guys to read the infancy narratives. So Luke. So Luke's about 40, 45 pages. But the infancy narrative, that's only about, so that's on the first 2 chapters is all of Luke. And then Matthew has the account. Yeah, so it's just the first 2 chapters in Matthew. So basically, just by Christmas, read the first 2 chapters of Matthew and Luke. There's not a lot in there about the infancy narratives. In that movie, The Star of Bethlehem, it really goes through what was going on in the stars in the heavens and what would have inspired those early kings to come follow the star. If I recall the story correctly, there was a legend that from the Babylonian exile, some Jews were exiled to the east, and they were the ones that informed the kings about the Jewish ways, and so there was these kings, these magi had Jewish roots. That's why they were so taken aback by the star rising, and it was rising, and it goes through this in the video. It goes through this in the constellation of Leo, which the Lion of Judah. So that's where the Jewish people understood their constellation to be. It's just a wonderful story. And now Catholics are against astrology. Okay, so it would be a sin to go out to the horoscope and think that the stars somehow can tell us what's going to happen to us. And Augustine in his book City of God goes through this very well, very clearly. So that's wrong. That would be sinful to look at the stars to see it as a governing of our life. But God arranged the universe in such a way that you had all this stuff come together, not to show us or dominate our life, but to reveal to us what God's plans are. Because not only does he go through this thing at Christmas, but also because of the clues from the scripture, it's likely that Jesus was also crucified, I think, on April 3rd, 30 AD or something like that, because by telling that, there was an eclipse of the sun, there were these things that were happening, signs in the sky, and he goes through all this stuff to the biblical clues. So the people who were attuned to the heavens would have seen this, and not in a superstitious way. That's the important thing. It's wrong to use a Ouija board. It's wrong to go to the stars and to put any credibility in horoscopes. That's not part of our Catholic faith. We trust in God. We don't trust in that kind of stuff. Okay. Any questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
I do. I have a question on what you said. So in Genesis, it says that the sky and the stars are for signs and seasons.
Right.
But you just said that we don't believe in that.
No, I
That's what
said
astrology is, isn't it?
astrology says that the stars depend and rule your life. So if you're born in October, the stars are going to dictate how your life is going to go. And what Genesis is saying, what I just said, God created the heavens to be a sign for us to see God's glory. Not that it changes our life, or we don't read the stars to govern our life. The stars don't govern our life, but they are signs to us to reveal God's seasons, like it's coming.
I thought that was astrology. I guess.
Astrology is like the horoscopes. I'm born in October, so I'm a Libra or something like that. So Libras are this and that. And so people let their life be governed by what somebody says a Libra is.
Okay.
So that's astrology.
Okay.
Now, the astrologers back here, it was science. It was more like astronomy. They were reading the signs of the times. They weren't saying that it's dominating our life, but God revealed his glory in the sky and in the sign.
So it's not bad to notice the fact that let's say you're having 4 blood moons on Jewish holidays, and to say, hey, that's a sign of something. We don't know what. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
But to say, oh, I'm a Leo, I'm the king, everybody must treat me like a king.
Right. That's the difference. So yes, in fact, he goes into some blood moons at these significant times where the scriptures talk about the blood moons. Again, it reveals to us something about God, not about our life or our destiny. It's God revealing himself for those who are attuned to God's revelation and the clues that he's given us. That make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Something, was that funny or is something else happened there, Josh?
No, my wife is across from me.
Okay, well, that's good. We need smiles in this COVID time. We want to be happy. We need to be people that bring joy to others, okay? So any questions? Was this interesting or helpful or anything?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, so what happens now and I don't think I put this on the website yet, on December 17th, 8 days before Christmas, the church enters into this period where we sing or proclaim the O antiphons, and that's the song, O Come Emmanuel. There's 8 verses to that song. And so it's just a time when we're getting closer and focusing on the coming of Christ. And so on the website, it's not there yet. I don't think I have maybe I did do it. Did I do it? I think I did. I think I changed it. I'm not sure if I did or not. Yeah, no, I put it in the bulletin. I'm just wondering if I put it on the website.
Your bulletins automatically go on the website.
It does, but this was an insert, like an added thing. Let's see what I got here. No, I don't have it on there yet. But we do have Father's Sundays. If you miss Father's Sundays talks on Saturday, they're on the website. Okay? Very good.
Father's Sundays talk about what?
We had a morning of recollection Saturday.
Oh.
So he had a couple talks on various topics and themes. Yep. Yep. Okay, so Trying to think. I think it's really, really, really important though, if we kind of read those infancy narratives and try and deepen ourselves in the scriptures. Does anybody else, do you guys have any questions? Like Stump the Priest or anything? I mean, it's just trying to think. So I want to try and, I want to check something real quick. We're not in here. I want to see what exactly I had scheduled last time. Yeah, so what I had scheduled last time was to do to watch that Star of Bethlehem movie. Okay, so tell you what, guys, I have on here a Catholic IQ test. So we're going to share our screen. We're going to run through this real quick. See how we're doing. Well, you probably know all the answers then, right? So let's try it again. Okay. So let's see here. How do we want to do this? So you guys put up your right hand online. Okay, that's your right hand. Okay, so right hand, I'm backwards, so that's my right hand. But so you guys are right hand. Right hand is true, left hand is false. Okay. So Jesus was Jewish. True.
Now, is Jewish and Armenian the same, or is it different? Or is it Armenian a language? The Jewish is a faith.
Well, Abraham's described as a wandering Armenian, I think, right? So it's just the Hebrew people, Jewish people. So it's probably a sect. Okay. Jesus was fully man, but not fully God.
Oh, that's a lefty.
Oh, that's false, man. So the one thing, that would be the Arian heresy. Okay. So Josh, you don't want to be an Arian, right? You wouldn't be alone. In the early centuries, most bishops were Arian. It was Athanasius that had to get everybody back online. So it's a lot easier to be an Arian, okay? So don't feel bad, Josh, all right? Okay. All right, so Jesus was fully God, but not fully man. Right, very good. Okay. So Jesus fully God and fully man. Okay, that's true. Now this is where it gets a little tricky. So don't outthink yourself. Jesus has a human nature. True. See, this is why it's so confusing. Jesus has a divine nature. That's true too. No, that's true too. See, that's what's so hard about this. This is why it's so hard. It's such a great mystery because a golf ball is a golf ball, a golf ball. A golf ball can't be a baseball at the same time as a golf ball. A basketball can't be a marshmallow at the same time. But since God is God, he can be outside of this temporal limitation, so he can have two natures. He has the nature of God and the nature of man. Now, Jesus did not have a divine will. That's false. Okay? Jesus does have a human will. That's true.
Wait, how does Jesus not have a divine will?
He's got a divine will and a human will. They're both.
Oh, wait, it does not.
Yeah.
Okay, then you said that is false. Okay, I was just
Yeah.
ignoring the false part.
Right. So there's only one divine nature. That is true. God is one, and there's only one divine nature. The tricky thing is Jesus is both human and divine, so he's got a divine nature and a human nature.
But you know what? I'm a human and I'm a male, so I have a male nature and a human nature.
That's right, but so does a woman has a human nature and a
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
well, nature depends on nature is essence. So I mean I would almost say, I could be getting in trouble here, but we're trying to get into Aristotelian philosophy, okay? But
I don't even know what Aristotelian means, just so
Aristotle. He's a guy, philosopher that lived back in 2,000 years ago. And Thomas Aquinas followed Aristotle. But here's what I'm saying. It's like God created us, and our sexuality is a gift from God, and it's something he intends. So it's not like we can change that. But on one level, what matters is that we're human. We're not defined by what we're sexually attracted to. We're defined by who God made us to be. Okay? So Jesus has has a divine will and a human will. So God has no beginning. That is true. Okay, something has to start with something had to be there without a beginning. The devil, before he rejected to serve God, was an angel. True. Okay. Remind me of a joke, but I shouldn't tell it. Jesus will come again to judge the living and the dead. True. The Bible is true in everything it says that relates to what is needed for salvation. That is true. Okay. What is the Eucharist? Okay. Did everybody read that okay? So it's choose all that apply. So that would be A. It literally means Thanksgiving. It's not the Feast of Thanksgiving, but that's what Eucharist means. Literally, it just means Thanksgiving. So when we come to Mass, we're giving thanks. It's also the celebration of Mass, and it's the host, the priest, and the people consume. So it's A, B, and C. A, B, and C is the correct answers. Now this is where it gets really tough. What heresy relates to denying Jesus had both a human and divine will? That is C. I would not expect you guys to get this.
Why would we learn about heresy when we don't learn about truth?
Well, this is what's important, because if you don't know what the truth is, you can fall into error.
Yeah, but here we're defining non-truths. Like, do we need to define non-truths?
Well, here's the funny thing. That's a great question. Okay. The great thing about the Catholic Church, it really doesn't say this is, I mean, it does say certain things are true, like the Eucharist is true. The real presence of Christ is true. Okay. But it doesn't give, this is a better way to put it. It doesn't give an exhaustive list of what we believe, because that would be impossible, because God is infinite. Okay. But it does say you can't believe that, because that will lead you into error. That's why it's important to understand heresies. Okay. Because if you, like, for example, if you think Jesus isn't fully God or fully man, that's really important. You know, you need to know that Jesus is fully God and fully man. Well, what are the people that believe that Jesus is man and not fully God? Well, that's the Arians. So it's just a way to try and describe to help people not fall into error. But you're right on one sense. You know, it's like I said to my kids, guys, what I want all of you to do in this class, I don't care how much you remember. Okay? I really don't. I want you to know that Jesus loves you, and I want you guys to have a personal relationship with Jesus. I want you guys to be able to say, hey, Jesus, how's it going, man? And Jesus, help me. You know, see Jesus as this reality that's your friend who's looking out for you, and ask for his guidance, ask for his help. Say, Lord, help me make these right decisions. And then what happens is, you pray about something, you discern about something, and you say, I don't know what God wants, and you make a decision. It's pretty darn clear, pretty darn quick if that was a good decision or not. You know, if things aren't working right or it doesn't work out, I said, well, that isn't what God wanted, so he's taking me in another direction. The door is closed, God always opens the window, okay? It's just God always takes care of us, because I'm convinced that no matter what happens to us, it always happens to us for our own spiritual well-being. And I'm telling you, this is the recipe for happiness. It's not the recipe of saying there's not going to be suffering, there's not going to be sorrow and anguish, but it's always something to benefit us. I was out today with my friend Steve, who's in the room. We were doing some targeting, different things and I wasn't as careful as I should have, and I didn't really hurt myself bad, but this little tiny minuscule accident instills in me now a much deeper needs to be a lot more cautious and a lot more careful. And had this not happened, I wouldn't be as careful the next time. So God can use bad things to direct our lives in good directions. Okay? So no matter what happens, know that God only allows it because it will lead us closer to him if we allow that to lead us closer to him. If we don't give up on God and trust him that he's really in control, it's going to be great. I mean, I look at my own life. I mean, my decisions and the ones I made to become a priest, it was a mystery of God's love and a mystery of God's faith and a mystery of me somehow having the capacity to say, okay, God, I'm going to do this. And you take a leap of faith. Our life is often a leap of faith. And if it's in the wrong direction, like when I went to the seminary, I was like, okay, God, I'm doing this. I don't know if you want me to do this or not, but I'm doing this. And if you don't want me to do this, just kick me out, get me kicked out. I get that. And that would be okay. If you want to kick me out and you don't want me, that's fine. You can kick me out. But here I am. So, and I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. Okay. So, all right. So which heresy relates to denying that we need God's grace to act accordingly? That would be Pelagianism. Okay. He said you don't need God's grace. And then which heresy is demanding the holiness of the ministers for the sacraments to be valid? That would be Donatism. Okay, they said, man, if a priest commits a sin, that invalidates the sacraments. Okay, so if a priest isn't super holy, he's not doing that. That doesn't count. His baptisms don't count. And God works through frailty. None of us are perfect. Okay? So what the church sees, the sacraments are the sacraments if the priest does what he intends the church to do. So if he intends to do what the church does, whether or not he's holy, it's the sacraments, the real presence. But what does affect it is the efficacy of that sacrament. So in other words, it's valid and you're receiving Christ, but a person who gets the sacrament from a bad example priest, they're not going to be moved by it. They're going to say, so they're not going to get the benefit of the holiness of the priest. So there is a benefit for the priest being holy for the people, but it doesn't change the validity, the reality of the sacrament. God doesn't deprive his people because the priests are bad.
Yeah. God didn't change, the priest changed.
Right. Okay, which heresy denies the divinity of Christ when he walked the earth? And that's Arianism. So that was, you guys are all taking notes, right? So when we give you this test, you'll get it all down. I think I need to put this in the bulletin again to teach all my people this, because I'm telling you, I don't think most Catholics in the pews would get this either.
These are tricky.
Okay, so what heresy relates Mary being the mother of God, but not the mother of Christ, but not the mother of God? That was Nestorianism.
How could she be the mother of Christ and not the mother of God? That doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. So, well, because.
How did that even become a heresy?
Okay, that's a good question. Okay. Christ is the Messiah. The scriptures don't demand that the Messiah be God. The Jews were waiting for the Messiah to come.
So it's saying that Jesus isn't God.
Right. It's saying that she's the mother of Christ, which means the anointed one. And Nestorius didn't really deny that Jesus was God, but he thought it was confusing. So he said, let's not call her Theotokos, which is the God bearer, but let's call her the Christ bearer. So it's confusing, and so the early Christians said, no, we don't want to diminish the idea that Jesus is God. Now, Mary is the mother of God, but Mary is not God. So Nestorius thought it would be confusing, and rightly so. I mean, a lot of Protestants would say, oh, Mary, how can she be the mother of God? That's to be a mother of God, you have to be God yourself. No, that's not true. Mary's the example of that. Okay. And like I said, guys, I love this stuff, and it's technical, right? Because people get kind of frustrated maybe that it's so technical, but as I said, it's really good to help us know these things. But what's most important is that we love Jesus and we look to the right place to find the right answers, because there's a lot of confusion out there. Okay.
A lot of people believe that Catholics pray to Mary as a God.
Right.
And I tell them, no, we don't.
So what heresy relates to believing that it is knowledge that saves us and not God? That would be Gnosticism. So G turns, if you think of G turning into a K, that's the knowledge one. Gnosticism is about knowledge. What heresy states that all will be saved, including the devil? This is my favorite heresy. Apokatastasis. Okay?
Why is that your favorite?
Well, just a fun word. But what really has happened in our world today is people don't really believe hell is a reality. They say, like, how can an all-loving God throw anybody into hell? And there's some sense in that, right? I mean, hell's a long time. But it's not that. God gives us freedom. And I remember what my dad said to me when I was a little kid, and I think it's great. And I do believe this. The only people in hell are those that want to be there, okay? So what I mean by that is God's mercy is always sufficient, but there are people that don't want to be with God. They reject God at such a fundamental level that they don't want to be with him. And so God had to create a place for those people who didn't want to be with him. It's like a guy, loves this girl, and she doesn't love him back. If he's going to be healthy, he's not going to stalk her. He's not going to chase her. He's going to give her enough room to be isolated from himself. Even if that isolation turns out that she marries some kind of snake and that she's got a horrible life and alcohol, she made just a horrible choice. When if she would have chosen that guy, he would have treated her like a queen. Everything would have been great and would have loved her. But she chooses this other bad guy, and then it's horrible. So God is not going to stop people from making bad choices, but he reveals to us enough so that we can make good ones. If we focus on the scriptures, if we try and uncover the reality of God, he's going to lead us. Because if God, and this is the thinking part, okay? If God gave us a brain and we use it well, it's not going to lead us away from God. That's why it's a lot of work. It's kind of hard work, but it's not going to lead us away from God. What I need from you guys too is I need like contact information just so I don't lose track of you guys. So like your names, address, birth dates, all that stuff, because when it comes time, we have to fill out all these records, and I don't want to lose you guys, okay?
Right.
So
let's do that after class.
Sure.
Hey, I got a question. I think one of the problems of that particular heresy you're talking about becoming like widespread is like, suppose there's Bishop Barron, I think it is, who like talks about, oh, we have a hope that Satan is saved. We have a hope. And it's like, no, we don't.
He probably says.
I haven't spent time listening to him.
Yeah.
I've heard people
Well,
talk about.
He's quoting Balthazar. Balthazar says we can't say that the devil is saved, and we can't say everybody is saved, but we can have a hope that all are saved, is what Balthazar said.
But you can't, because like angels, salvation doesn't belong to the angels. It belongs only to the people.
Well, the angels were tested too.
Right, but let me rephrase that. Redemption doesn't belong to the angels, just to the people.
Right. That's correct. That's right. That's correct. The angels were not
had
redeemed.
a choice, and that's what their choice is.
Right.
And actually, if you listen to the story of the soul in hell, she goes into even like people. Generally speaking, your habits are developing your choice, and
Right.
In the end, that's what your choice is gonna be. I don't know if you've ever heard of the story of Saul.
I have never heard that, but that seems to be theologically sound. You know, so it's like virtue and vice, guys. Virtue is nothing less than just a good habit. Vice is bad habits. And once you get into good habits, it's really easy to continue doing good habits. Once you get into bad habits, it's very hard. So I haven't used a gun enough to get into bad habit. And so I learned really hard today, not a bad habit. And so hopefully that will change and I'll never do that ever again. So like I said, we learn more from our mistakes, actually, you know, so. All right.
All these isms that are up there.
Right.
What's Jansenism then? Because that was really sort of recent.
Right, yeah, that's the Middle Age. Jansen was the guy's name. These are all guys' names, okay, like Nestorian. Now, Monophysitism, that means one body, okay? So, touch screen. Yeah, so that's it. That's the heresy I'm looking for right now. I was getting a little confused. I had to do a little thinking on this one. So, Monophysitism, that literally means one nature. So that Jesus didn't have a human nature, didn't really have a human body. So that's the heresy that is that one. So monophys is the type when Jesus only had, denying he had a real body. No, Jesus had a human nature and a divine nature. He didn't just have a human nature. Okay. Okay, so what type of grace relates to the state when one is in the state of grace? And that's sanctifying grace, okay? Which type of grace relates to Mary? And you just heard this at Mass the other day in one of the prayers. Do you remember that? Mary was anticipated. She got grace early because she was the mother of God. So she was the precursor. So she received prevenient, which means the pre-coming. So before the coming of Christ, Mary received that grace to be so that Jesus could be immaculate conceived. But she's still saved by Jesus. What type of grace relates to the help one actually receives even in the state of grace? You know what? I might have got that backwards. I might have got sanctifying grace and actual grace backwards. I'll have to check on that. Might be a mistake on my part. Okay.
Wait, what type of, are you reading number 26?
Number 25, which type of grace Mary, number 26, what type of grace relates to the help one receives even in the state of sin? Oh, that's actual grace. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's actual grace. So even when we're in the state of grace.
That's not sanctifying.
Right. So it's actual grace. And then which grace relates to that which relates from practicing the virtues? That's habitual grace. Okay, so who was the first pope? You guys know this one, right? St. Peter. Who was the emperor who mandated Christianity for the Roman Empire in about 379 AD? In 379 AD?
Wasn't it Constantine?
No. Constantine was 313. Theodosius, yep. Who was the beloved disciple? St. John. Who was considered the apostle of the Gentiles? Paul. Who inaugurated the Catholic Church and gave the task to lead the church to an apostle? That'd be Jesus.
Yeah.
Who was an orator of the emperor before he converted and used his skill to help the church? Augustine. That's Augustine, not an emperor. Who was an orator of the emperor? So he spoke for the emperor. He was like a speechwriter, St. Augustine. And who was believed to be the first bishop of Jerusalem?
Peter?
St. James. James is Jerusalem. Peter was Rome. And then who was the emperor who issued the Edict of Milan to have conquered by this sign? You got that one earlier. Constantine. All right. Great, guys. All right, so fourth Sunday of Advent coming up. Everybody doing well in Advent? Everything going okay?
Yep.
So do you guys, I feel bad. It seems like you guys never have any questions. I mean, I feel like this, like, I don't like these distant things. It's hard.
Well, in all fairness, these people, when they have questions, they ask me after class.
Okay.
Like, you know, the priest said this, what did he mean by? So I get drilled with all your questions.
Okay, that's good. But don't ever feel like, there's no such thing as a dumb question, okay? Never a dumb question. Okay? We all good? The Lord be with you.
All right.
The Almighty God bless you, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thanks, guys. God bless you. Have a great day.
Thank you, you as well.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Question, we're meeting next Monday, right?
Huh?
We're meeting next Monday.
Yeah, which Monday do we have off?
You know what?
I don't know.
Shoot. I'll send an email to everybody. It's on the schedule. I don't think we have a class next Monday.
No.
It's on the schedule. Look at the schedule.
Where's the schedule?
Is that whyamiapriest.com?
It's all mixed,
Huh?
like December's up in November.
I think if you look at it, it's all in order. I've been working on it.
Oh, I put it in order.
It's all in order up to the time that we're at.
Okay, cause like last summer we went on, it was like November's were down in December's.
Yeah, well, near the end, I've worked on it since then, so.
Okay. Well, we gotta give them that Christmas content.
Yeah, let me,
Probably me and Charles was running your class.
What did you say?
so here's, you can just fill this stuff out. Now, how many people, these two, or is there more? How many people?
Him and Chris will be the two that get baptized.
Okay,
And then, yeah, so then,
you're getting baptized?
no, she's been baptized.
Okay.
Crystal's the one who comes in on the walker.
Okay, great. So you want to fill out, so if it's not a child, just put adult, okay? But, so we need the date of baptism is going to be Easter, you can just say that. But we need like their father's names, their mother's names, the date of birth.
Should I call Crystal to get that for her?
Yeah, here, you can throw out Christmas, I'll fill it online.
No, you have to go.
We might need another pen, because that one doesn't look like it works right.
Yeah.
Oh, and this one's, is this a pen or a pencil? This is a pencil. Is a pencil okay, or you want a pen?
Father's religion. Number of. So that's from mom and dad.
What?
Jason and I are gonna get together and see, I think I'm gonna do Christmas Eve and then he's gonna do midnight mass. And then I'll do 7 to 9.